Welcome to another episode of Conversations about Priesthood. Today's conversation will be with Sarah, who is from the Church in Wales. Church in Wales is part of the wider Anglican Communion, Church in Wales is composed of 6 dioceses. And when I first started this series, I'd said that I would sort of be engaging with priests who are ministering within the Church of England. But over the last few weeks, I've been thinking about actually sort of broadening the horizon. And so as a result of that, I'm also going to be engaging with priests who are ministering within the wider Anglican Communion. So really looking forward to having this conversation and hearing a bit from Sarah as well. So hello, Sarah, how are you?
Hello, I'm fine, thank you. It's really lovely to meet you, and thank you for inviting me to be part of this conversation. It's really exciting and interesting. I'm going to listen to the other conversation and see what other people think, and maybe where I should have, where I've gone wrong.
Wonderful. I know I've done a little bit of an introduction, so sorry about that, but I wonder if maybe you could share a bit more about yourself and a bit more about the context that you're in as well.
Okay, sure. So my name is Sarah. I'm a priest here in North Wales. I'm in Bangor Diocese, which is in the north of Wales. And I've just moved a year ago to a town called Bethesda, and I've been put here by the diocese in this role they're calling a pioneer community leader. So I'm a pioneer priest. I'm still discovering what that actually means. So I did my curacy in a different ministry area in a very normal traditional ministry. I don't know if you have ministry areas over in England, actually, what you'd call parishes, groupings of churches. We moved over to ministry areas a few years ago. So I've done my curacy, and this is my first post of responsibility. And I've got this really exciting but very unclear role here in Bethesda.
Wonderful. Can I just say, nothing to do with priesthood, but can I just say, I love the colour of your hair. It's absolutely fascinating. I might, actually no, it probably won't suit me, but it suits you.
Oh, I can imagine a lovely, really dark pink streak. You'd look amazing. Yeah.
Oh,
it's faded a bit now, but
No, it's lovely.
It was Pentecost,
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, one of the first questions that I always start off with is, what is your understanding of priesthood?
Okay. Well, I think that's something I can't put on a postcard for you. And I think it's something I come back to and I keep developing. And I think it changes as you change and as you grow and as you actually practice ministry and priesthood. It's not static, I don't think. And that was one of the questions that I was asked to consider when I was discerning. And it took me a while because the tradition I'd been in, it was Anglican, but a very low church. Like, it was so low, we were under the table, never mind up a candle, So I did not have a very strong or clear understanding of sacramental priestly ministry. I just didn't. I was a lay reader for 20 years before I then transitioned to becoming ordained. So I had to kind of figure it out. And I think what I realized is that my understanding of how you are a presence to people in lay ministry as well as in ordained is actually reflected in what I think about priestly ministry. So for me, it's just being with people. It's being a priest with people, for people. And that is exercised not only in the sacramental stuff we do on Sundays or in midweek communions, but in that constant, you're walking with people through life as they go through their life, and you're bringing hopefully something of God into whatever that's going on for them, and then sometimes you're receiving back from them as well. So it's an ongoing thing. I don't have very clear language about it. I'm sure there are many more experienced theologians in the church who would explain it much more clearly, but for me it's about that presence, that if you're exercising a priestly ministry, you're bringing something of that understanding of God being present into the situation you're in. You cry with people, you laugh with people, all that cliched stuff, but actually that is the reality of it. So for me, that's kind of what it is. And I may exercise it slightly differently now to I did when I was a lay reader, but I think actually all that experience was just as relevant. So for people who are discerning, who may have been exercising a lay ministry, it's not invalid. You're not going to have to learn a whole different bunch of stuff, and it's actually going to be informing where you are now. I think that's what maybe I'd say.
That's really helpful. And I love what you said about the being with people. And I think that's something that actually, so I co-lead an intercultural worshiping community called Roots with another lovely lady called Kat. And we always talk about the being with people, not just the doing to or the doing for, but the being with. So thank you so much for that. And quite a few people that I've spoken to already, quite a few priests have also said it's about the being with and being the presence.
It's that incarnational stuff.
Yes.
You know, it's like the daily stuff, you know, the mundane stuff, but you're there and you're bringing something of like, God is in this with you.
Yes, absolutely. So that leads me to my next question. What would you say from your experiences have been some of the joys and challenges of this ministry?
Well, I'm kind of new to this because I've only been here a year, and it is a new pioneering fresh expression evangelistic thing, so we're still figuring it out as we go. So the joys of that is that in my particular context is a complete freedom, because we're trying something new. And you know, nothing is off the books really. You know, it's like you can try anything and see if it works. And when I was on retreat before ordination, I was so lucky. We had Archbishop Rowan Williams as speak to us the night before the ordinations at our retreat place.
I'm jealous.
I know, right? I'm still kind of fangirling over that. So he said something to us which has stuck with me since then, and I keep coming back to. He said that we were being freed up to be there, to witness for people, to see things and to call things out to people and to be there for them. So the freedom that you are given is that you are basically released from that idea that you have to like work your socks off just to survive and keep your head above water. You are given this complete gift that you are able to just stop. You can spend time praying for people. That is actually you are paid to be there for people and pray for them. You are, to read, to think, to meditate, to, yes, go out and get your hands dirty, but you are actually released from that idea that you're only valued if you're working all the time. But you are actually paid not to work sometimes, and that's just as important. So that's a gift for sure, and not to be taken lightly. Take that seriously, that you are being given the time to spend that time praying for people or thinking about stuff and writing stuff. So that's, what was the other thing? The challenges.
Yeah.
I think the challenges is probably just the same as the gifts. Like, actually, you need to do this.
Yes.
And you might not always feel like it, and you might be tired, and you might be just a bit depressed or overwhelmed or not in the mood. And so the challenge is the same, that you've got to, this is what you're called to do. But also recognizing that sometimes you're not in the best place, and that's okay. It's because we're human, and then trying things and them not working. So the gift is that, yes, we can just try things, but the downside is that actually they don't always work. Sometimes they just fall flat. It wasn't the right place, the right time, whatever it was, didn't work. I did an interfaith Pentecost picnic on the banks of the river here in Bethesda. I know, sounds amazing, doesn't it? 6 of us huddled up in coats.
Oh no.
Bloody freezing because it's June in North Wales.
Wow.
And there were only 6 people. It was a Jubilee weekend, and I was avoiding the Jubilee like the plague. And I was like, this is Pentecost,
Yes.
Let's do this. Let's share our traditions of the Holy Spirit in different cultures and traditions. Let's get those stories out. In my head, it was amazing. Reality, not so much. So there's that as well, and it's like, well, okay, we tried. Pick yourself up and move on to something else. And then the challenge is that everybody's going to come across, not enough young people. Our congregations are elderly. They are tired. They have been holding the church together for years, through their work and their love and their dedication, but they are tired.
Yes.
And we don't have the young people, and our families are so super busy running lives and working and keeping their kids occupied. They don't have time to rock up to church on a Sunday. And that's partly why I'm doing the pioneering stuff I'm doing here. It's like finding different ways of connecting to people. So Yeah, I don't think I'm saying anything new or revelation here, really.
This has been really helpful. Oh gosh, thank you for that. And I loved what you said about actually also just recognizing that we are humans. And I know that's obviously, it's like, you know, we all know that, but sometimes we forget that. Sometimes we think we're superhumans. And I find that even in my capacity as a lay minister, sometimes I'm like, oh, I can do all this. And actually I need to just take time out sometimes. Yeah. So final question. Do you have any words of encouragement for individuals who are currently sort of going through, well, exploring or discerning whether they're called to the priesthood?
Yeah. Stay yourself. Be who you are, because God called you. He didn't call some idealized version of you. He called you with all the whatever makes you uniquely you. When I was going through that whole discernment process, it was kind of assumed that I would then emerge at the end of the process as a vicar, ministry area leader. That would be it. And everything was geared for that. And all the way through, when I was being encouraged to discern what my particular style of ministry would be or whatever I would be focusing on, I was like, I don't want to be a vicar. I do not want to be a ministry area leader. I have no desire to run PCCs and worry about buildings and spreadsheets and paying the quota, whatever you call it over in the Church of England. None whatsoever. I'm doing this because I feel like God has nagged me for long enough to do it, but not necessarily what you want me to do. And I just don't know what to do about that. And I felt continually that I was in the wrong place, that this was a mistake. I shouldn't be doing this, because I clearly didn't fit this pattern that they needed at the end of it. But because I'm a stubborn so-and-so, I kept up with that. And every time I would meet up with the vocations officer and they'd be like, so have you figured it out yet? And I'd be like, no, but I really don't think I'm called to be a ministry area leader. But there was no, I wanted to be a chaplain actually, but you couldn't do that without having first gone through becoming a vicar and then maybe specializing in chaplaincy. That was just the way it is. So I kind of went through, I did all the stuff, I jumped through all the hoops they make you jump through, you know, I did the post-grad stuff, I did all that. And then as I was approaching literally the last few months of my curacy, wondering what on earth are they going to do with me? Where are they going to put me? Seriously not going to put me as a vicar. Please God, no. You know, and then also thinking, but if it's your will, then I'll do it. You know, doing all of that.
That dangerous prayer.
I know, right? That is the most dangerous prayer. I then got a phone call from the bishop saying, I want you to try for this post. And they'd got this funding for this evangelist post, and he said, I want you to try for it. Wow. So I was like, okay. And so here I am. Wow. So not a vicar. So yeah, I think the most important thing, whatever you're doing, as you're going through all this stuff and you're stretching yourself in ways you never knew you could be stretched, and you are being broken and then rebuilt. And because that is what happened through this whole thing. Find the people you trust, first of all. It could be colleagues, it could just be friends from your real life, who keep you, who remind you who you are, and that you've been called as that person with the skills and the interests and peculiarities that will make you the priest you will be. And then it'll come together. It'll come together. You'll find the place you need to be. So yeah, there we go.
Ah, wonderful. Well, thank you so much. This has been a really fascinating conversation. I mean, all the conversations that I've had so far have been really interesting, but I've really enjoyed this one. And also I'm hearing a bit about the context that you're in as well. And I'm sure that the viewers will find this conversation enriching and encouraging as well.
Yeah.
So thank you.
I have to say, I really love the church in Wales. I really do.
I might come and pay a visit.
Do, you'd be very welcome. And I joke about it being cold, but it is absolutely beautiful as well.
I have a best friend who lives in Chepstow, so I don't know how far that is from.
Oh, quite a way.
Right, okay, right. Anyways, well, wonderful. Thank you so much for your time. And yes, I hope you.
Like, how far into the process are you? How long?
So I've got an ADDO now, so an assistant DDO. And we're currently just having conversations at the moment, and if all goes well, if yeah, if all goes well, then I should start sort of the first stage of BAP probably this year, November or December.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, blessings
Got a
on
long
you.
time. Yes. Thank you very much.
Cool.
And so until next time.
Yeah.
Bye.